Hi, this is Dick Clark with my favorite DJ, Jimmy Deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy. How do I put this here? Guys, we have him. We have him. Liberty Devitto.
Trapped.
The iconic drummer for Billy Joel for how many years, Liberty?
30.
30 years drumming. Wow. This is like talking to Tristan Bowden from Chicago.
Yeah,
You guys
he was
are
there for a
so
long time.
right.
He was
You
there
guys
for a
are
long time, but Danny was there longer.
Danny was there. Yeah, exactly. Danny was there, I think, 40 years. Danny Seraphin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was there about 40 years. But let's talk about your upbringing in New York. You said Long Island, right?
Yes. I grew up on Long Island, a place called Seaford, Long Island, which is kind of like, it's in Nassau County. There's Nassau County, Suffolk County. We're in Nassau County, and we were directly, if you go south, you hit Jones Beach. That's where we were. And my father moved us out there to Long Island because he was a cop in Brooklyn, and he didn't want his children to grow up in Brooklyn. And my father was a bad boy when he was growing up. He grew up in Brooklyn, and he was a bad boy. So he took us out to Long Island, and it was a great place to grow up. There was nothing there. There was a bunch of empty lots that we could play guns in and have dirt bomb fights and all that kind of stuff. So it was really, really cool to grow up out there. So I'm a Long Island boy, hence the Billy Joel connection.
Yeah. How did you originally meet him? I mean, were you just playing somewhere and he goes, "Oh, I want that drummer"?
No. It wasn't like that. I wish it was like that, but no. That's funny because all the questions you're going to ask me are in this book right here. Yes.
Well, we can talk about your book. We'll definitely talk about your book.
I don't mind. I just wanted to show it because I'm
absolutely.
But the connection with Billy, when I was 17, I was in a band called the New Rock Workshop.
Okay.
We played at a club called the My House, which was in Plainview, Long Island, and it was in a shopping center. And it didn't serve any alcohol. It was for underage kids. And major groups played there. The Vanilla Fudge played there. Jackie Wilson played there. The Soul Survivors played there. A whole bunch of bands like that. And one night, my band, the New Rock Workshop, played with this other band called the Hassles, which was Billy's band. And I remember seeing Billy. Billy was 18, I was 17. And I remember seeing them and listening to them. And Billy sang one of my favorite tunes. At the time, I was into Traffic, Steve Winwood's group Traffic.
Yep.
And Billy sang Colored Rain. And I thought, whoa, this guy's really good. He's singing one of my favorite tunes that I didn't know anybody knew that song, So, and then he stayed and watched me play. So when the time came that he was looking for a new drummer, he was actually living in California. He had recorded Street Life Serenader and The Piano Man, those two albums, and for Columbia Records. And he was tired of being in LA, wanted to move back to Long Island. At the time, Doug Stegmeyer had just gotten on the Street Life Serenader tour. He was the bass player. Doug, me, Russell, and Howie Emerson were in a band called Topper. Doug had to leave to go on tour with Billy, which was great.
Right.
And when Billy was talking about coming back to New York, and he would say, I want the same band to go on the tour with me that records the album with me. I want that same thing. Because he was using studio cats in LA. He was using Russ Kunkel, not Russ Kunkel. Who played with Elvis? What's his name?
Elvis.
Who played with Elvis?
The drummer?
Ron Tutt. They had Ron Tutt play on Piano Man and Street Life Serenader. And the drummer that was on tour with him, Reese Clark, played on Captain Jack on Piano Man. It was the only song he played on. So Billy wanted the same guys to play on the record and go on tour with him. And he wanted a New York style drummer. And Doug said, well, you know the guy, you've seen him play. And so I got to audition for Billy, So yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, it was pretty cool. I didn't like his songs at first. I thought,
really?
I thought this guy, I'm into R&B, old school R&B, like Aretha Franklin, Sam and Dave, Otis Redding.
Right.
That's the stuff I was into. Because I had played with Mitch Ryder when I was 18 years old.
Oh, really cool.
And they taught me all about R&B. You know, I remember sitting on the bus. They had Mitch had this security guy named Joe Romeo, and they kept using this word funky. Now this is 1968, right? They kept using this word funky, and I finally asked Romeo. I said, "What does funky mean?" and he says, "You know the way you got an old pair of shoes, and there's kind of like holes starting to develop underneath in the sole." And he says, "But they're really broken in, and you just can't part with them. You can't throw them away." He said, "That's funky. Those shoes are funky." You know.
Now let me ask you. Now you said you like Traffic. Did you get any of your Traffic rhythms and riffs from the Traffic drum player?
Well, if you listen to the albums, Billy Joel albums, if you listen to Stiletto, the song Stiletto, it has that doom doom.
I love that. I love that. You're like, yeah, yep.
Even the organ goes pop, 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 just like Traffic. Yeah. And there's a song called "She's Right on Time." And I told Bill, I said, "Why don't you write a song one time that starts like Colored Rain?" You know, Colored Rain just starts with yesterday and right in.
Right.
So he has a little intro to the song "Right on Time," and then he sings "Turn on all the Christmas," like right in, you know, no intro to the verse or anything like that. So yeah, we love Traffic. As a matter of fact, on the Bridge album, Winwood played on a song called "Getting Closer" with us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we did like hours of Traffic songs in the studio. And Steve Winwood actually did say that you know, a couple of times he had to look up. He thought Jim Capaldi was playing on the drums.
Wow. I do have a question for you, Liberty. Tom Payton says, he wanted to wish Jimmy well. Jimmy's not feeling well tonight, so I want to wish him well. But he says, ask Liberty what's the best venue you ever enjoyed playing at.
Well, you know, the venues, there's three things that you think about when you see the itinerary. One is the venue. Okay, we're playing at this place. The next is, what are the great restaurants in that city? And then the third is like, do I know any women in that city?
Nice Italian restaurants too, right?
Yeah. But some of the greatest some of the greatest venues we played in, like Philadelphia, we played the Spectrum, which Philly loved Billy. You know, he first broke in Philadelphia when this great disc jockey, Ed Shockey, for the radio station MMR, I think it was, he played Captain Jack, a live version of Captain Jack. And so every time we went to Philly, it was the only time we ever played Captain Jack. And
right,
they just loved Billy, and the crowd was so great. That was a great place to play. I loved going to Australia. Loved Australia. You know,
nice.
We had our first gold record in Australia. As a matter of fact, it was Turnstiles, but you only had to sell 36,000 copies. You know, not like here you have to sell 500,000 to get gold. You know, so we went to Australia in '76, and I mean, it was new. They were so far behind America, but their music was great. I remember listening to their music, the bands. You know. Somebody was telling me about this garage band that practices in the garage, and they're called In Excess. You know, it's like, it was amazing to listen to. So those places were fantastic. I mean, playing the Garden, of course, was great. It's a hometown gig. And playing what used to be the Nassau Coliseum, the old Coliseum, was great because it was Long Island. I mean, so many people wanted to go that we could purchase tickets to sell to our friends. And I remember once I had to buy 2,500 tickets because people couldn't get tickets, you know?
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was crazy. I mean, you know, playing Giant Stadium 6 nights in a row was unbelievable. Doing gigs with Elton John, you know, playing the Soviet Union, playing in the Soviet Union was amazing.
That's so cool, man. I mean, in your book, you've done it all. You know, this is your autobiographical, correct?
Yes.
So this is on your life with Billy Joel and all the bands you've been with and stuff like that.
Yeah, the story is about how these immigrants came over from Italy. My grandparents came from Italy, and how 2 generations later, one of their offspring gets to play with one of the biggest single artists in the world. It follows that, it actually starts with my family and, World War II and how the brothers all went to war. I'm named after one brother that didn't come back. My grandmother had like 11 children, and the one that didn't come back, I'm named after. And so it goes on to us moving to Seaford, and the first music that I heard, it talks about an old friend of mine. When I was like 3 or 4 years old, I had a friend, Eleanor, and it talks about her locking me in a garbage pail and I couldn't get out. Just the things that made me who I am today.
Wow.
It goes through my sobriety, it goes down many roads. Some of them are great roads to travel down. Some of them were very dark. It was dark roads that some people did not get out of, like Doug Stegmeyer.
Yeah.
And, the guys just lost it,
I'm sorry to hear that, but there's some shout outs. Ed Schultz wanted to say hi, Liberty. He knows you.
Yes.
Jimmy Eschenbenner from The Outsiders wanted to say hi. He's getting your book.
Cool.
Jimmy's a great guy. He's been on our station a couple of times. Tommy Zavanchek said it's good to see you, Liberty.
It's good to be seen, especially during a pandemic.
Yeah, and Flora is also always on here to say hi to Jimmy, and she said, "Yeah, we miss you, Jimmy, too. Jimmy, get well."
I saw that my friend Eleanor was on there too.
Eleanor
Schultz. Yeah.
That's awesome. So let me ask you more questions. Not really pertaining to the book, but you came up with your own styles of riffs, though, right? You had to come up with these little things.
I did.
How did you do that? Did you base that on everything that you learned from other drummers, or did it just something that you know how to do?
When I was in school, grammar school, I always loved music. I can remember buying 45s. The first 45 I ever bought, I bought it in, we had a pet shop in Seaford that also had like the top 20 singles Pete would sell. It's called Pete's Pet Shop.
Right.
And I went to school with Alice Pecoraro. And so I'd go into the pet shop, mow a lawn, right? Get $2 to mow the lawn, and then go to Pete's and buy a 45. My first 45 was The Book of Love by the Monotones.
Yeah.
You know that song?
Yeah. Absolutely. Who could forget that song?
Yeah. So that was one of the first 45s I bought. So I always loved music. My interest in the drums, I don't know how that happened, but I asked my father later on in my career why the drums, and he said because they didn't make Prozac when I was a kid. I got a set of drums. My parents bought it from my cousin, who was selling his old Leedy set with like a 26-inch bass drum with a boat going down a stream or something like that, and I would just try to practice and stuff. And my mother said, join the school band. I was in 6th grade. Well, I couldn't do the buzz roll in the Star Spangled Banner. The teacher said, put the sticks down, Devitto. You'll never do anything with the drums. So I was discouraged. That guy had a lot of nerve discouraging a young
Yeah,
kid.
they do that. Yeah.
It's just was wrong what he did.
Oh.
But I continued to love music. Like I love Dion, and the Belmonts.
Oh, yeah.
The Orlons from Philly, love that stuff.
Yep.
So
I'm right there with you, brother. Believe me, I still, I see the audience dying, but I don't see the love for the music dying. That's good.
Right. Exactly. That music still, when you hear it, it's funny because a lot of the supermarkets play that music when you're walking through the supermarket and you start dancing in the aisle, it's really funny. But, Four Seasons were another one.
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't until the Beatles, of course, were on the Ed Sullivan Show. And I pointed at the screen and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be in a band with my friends that travels the world. I don't care about the buzz roll. And as a matter of fact, even today, I can't do a good buzz roll.
But that's okay. Because look where it got you. Who the hell cares?
Yeah.
See, go ahead.
So I learned, records became my books because nobody wanted to teach me how to play like Ringo. So records became my books. And so I learned by listening. and trying to imitate what the drummer was doing. Now, I couldn't read music and I couldn't write music because I wasn't taking lessons. So to follow a song and not get lost in it, I would have to learn the lyrics to the song. And as I'm playing along to the lyrics and I'm singing, I'm thinking, wow, the drummer plays a fill when he takes the band, when the singer stops singing, or he takes the band into a more exciting area like the bridge or the chorus. He usually doesn't fill when the singer's singing.
Absolutely.
So I learned to love lyrics because when we went in the studio with Billy, I took that same idea with me, and everybody would ask the chords, and they'd be writing charts out and stuff like that. And I would ask Billy for his lyrics. I want to know what he's singing about, because that will dictate what I'm going to play on the drums.
Right.
I don't want to walk all over his stuff. Everybody thinks a great drummer is somebody that's fast and has a lot of chops and stuff like that. No, I think a great drummer hears a song and goes, that song's so great. You know what? There shouldn't be any drums on it. That's a great drummer to me.
The less drums sometimes is more, right?
Exactly. Less is more.
Because it's just that fill. And that's another question. When you play the songs, how do you know when to stop? How do you know when to fill? How do you know when to, I know it's a read. Musicians get it for the song as a fill, but how do you know when to do that? And when you listen to it, it's like, this was so perfect.
Well, it's funny listening to the older songs, or even the Beatles songs or Rolling Stones stuff. You hear things I always tell young people, when you listen to the group that you love the most and you listen to the drummer, think, why did he play that? Why did he play that? Not if the role if you like the fill or not, if you could have did something better. Why did he play that particular fill? Take what's his name? Phil Rudd from AC/DC. Simple. Simon Kirke, Bad Company.
Yep.
Simple.
Mm-hmm.
You would think he's no Neil Peart or something like that. He doesn't do that kind of stuff like Neil Peart does. Neil Peart's a great drummer. No. You rock the Bad Company because Simon Kirke is a great drummer.
Right.
He's playing, the drums, we're meant to just get people up off their butts and start dancing. That's what drums do. We accent what the singer's singing, what the band is playing. I've always done this comparison. When people say, who's the greatest drummer? I always say there is no greatest drummer, because you take a drummer like Buddy Rich. Everybody's like, oh, Buddy Rich is the greatest drummer ever. Greatest drummer ever. Okay. In his situation, he's great when he plays with his big band, with the Buddy Rich band.
Yep.
U2 has Larry Mullen. You see Larry Mullen play? He doesn't have the chops like Buddy Rich does, right? So
right.
He's not that good when you think about if somebody thinks about it. But take Larry Mullen. He's great in U2, right?
Right.
Take him out of U2 and put him in Buddy Rich's big band. You'd say, oh my God, that guy's terrible. He's not doing anything.
Right.
Not picking with the band, nothing.
Right.
Take Buddy Rich and put him in U2. And you're going to say, we got to get out of here, man. That drum is overplayed.
Right.
He's terrible.
So it's like a fish out of water sequence type of thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right feel, you're not going to make the song. So that's another question. What was your favorite songs you like playing on? I mean, there's so many of them, but you have to have a few favorite ones that you really love playing on.
My favorite song to play with Billy every night was the last one.
Now, why was that?
We go home. We go back to the hotel.
No, seriously, though, there had to be many.
Well, I particularly like the ballads because, the bigger the band got and we played bigger rooms, you really have to over-exaggerate so people see something, So the ballads, you can really over-exaggerate what you're doing, So the ballads I really liked playing. I mean, the harder songs to play, people think like Angry Young Man and Scenes from an Italian Restaurant are hard songs to play. They're not. There's breaks in the middle of them. Right. You get the rest when there's a little piano thing. Hard songs to play are Miami 2017, I go to extremes because it's from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Bam, you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
You know. So those tunes are tough. That's why
And-
I appreciate the metal guys, the speed metal guys, man. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, brrr, and they're going till the end of the song. You know?
It's 3 or 4 minutes. But as you get older, your hands, you know, they cramp up. And as a musician, I know this happens because, you know, even though I played drums for a short term, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to do it, it really hurts you quicker.
Oh, you can hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I've had injuries. You know, my right knee, I had to get a total knee replacement. I mean, I probably bashed it so hard against the bass drum all those years. You know,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
you got to kill it. But you know, I still do it.
I know. There's so many people saying hi to you. I don't even know. Cadillac John Seville, a good DJ from country. He's saying hello. He said, "This is awesome. You're an incredible guest." Like I said, I wish Jimmy Deal was here, but he's sick, so he's not. So if you guys got any questions, let me know, and I'll be able to ask Liberty. Liberty, we have you for the whole hour.
Questions, any questions you want.
We have you for the whole hour, though, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So again, let's go back to your upbringing. What were your favorite Italian restaurants in Long Island? Yeah, because I'm Italian. I got to ask you this question.
My favorite Italian place to eat was 3834 Miami Street. That's where I lived. My mother made the best Italian.
Mom, yeah.
We had a pizzeria in Seaford called Palermo's Pizza. You used to take the pizza. They made squares, you know, and you would take it and fold it, and you'd take a bite, and the oil would just run down your arm. I had to take a shower after I ate it. It was so oily. But it was delicious.
It's like,
you know, I loved it. And it was like nothing. You know, what did it cost? Like hardly anything to get a slice, you know?
No, you're right. When stuff is homemade and it's made right in your kitchen or your grandmom's kitchen or whatever, you can't put that in a pizza parlor. It just doesn't have the same taste or smell or aroma or whatever. I mean, it drives you nuts, but it's really, really good.
It really is. It's that's why I like mom and pop restaurants now. We have a restaurant here in Brooklyn called Cataldo's. You know, we've become very good friends with the family.
Right.
And they're like a mom and pop. I can go in there and say, "Can you make this?" And they'll go, "Yeah, we can make them for you." You know, even though it's not on the menu. You know,
yeah, I got a couple of friends like that too. And it's just so nice to have that because, you know, you feel like, well, you are a celebrity. I mean, I'm not nobody, but you feel like a celebrity when you go in there. You really do. You feel like part of the family.
You do. That's what's great about some of these restaurants. They make you feel like you're part of the family, you know? They joke
and they
with
know
you.
who you are too. And I'm sure they got, you know, they know who you are, right?
They know. Yeah. I sometimes don't know who I am. You know, I mean, I live in Brooklyn. I'm watching the Aretha Franklin documentary that they made, you know, that's out now. I guess it's on HBO or Netflix or whatever it's on.
Right.
And I'm watching it and I'm like, the guy that plays the record company rep, Arif Martin, maybe, the guy that plays him, he's got a beard. He lives across the street. I said, that guy lives across the street. Yeah.
That's so cool. Somebody from Ontario, Canada is saying you're her favorite. Jennifer Scott says you're her favorite drummer.
And Jennifer Scott, you're my favorite Jennifer.
They want to know if you, he wants to know, he said, ask Lib about his time in Newfoundland playing with Dave Fitz.
Let me tell you something. There are beautiful people up there. There are beautiful people all over the world. But when I went up there, I've never met such beautiful people. I was way. This was the place where when 9/11 happened and all the flights that were coming into New York had to be grounded.
Yes.
This was the place where they were grounded.
Wow.
It is beautiful country. It is just amazing. You know, they have like, it's so far north that icebergs actually come floating by the island. You know, it was fantastic. The talent that's up there, you know, my friend Dave, and they were just great musicians, great people, just great people. I loved it.
So you like playing jazz too, you said, right? You like playing R&B and jazz.
Did I say jazz?
Well, R&B,
rhythm and blues.
Yeah, but you like playing that rhythm type of thing.
Well, you know, the jazz that I like is the bebop jazz, like the There's Dave right now. See, he just wrote you. That's the Dave from Newfoundland.
Oh, wow. Hey, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah. He's the greatest, that guy. But the jazz that I like is like the Jimmy Smith kind of jazz, the Wes Montgomery kind of jazz. I love Dave Brubeck. There was moments in my drumming as I was learning the drums when I would hear something and go, okay, I'll never do that. And one of them was after Dave Brubeck recorded Take 5,
Right.
Joe Murillo just plays a little, plays a rhythm. And then on the next album, he did a solo. It's called Far More Drums. It's in 5. You hear that? My friend Bob Ray, I go to his house and he plays me all these jazz records. And he played me that when we would walk from high school to his house and listen to records. And he played me Far More Drums by Joe Murillo. And I was like, okay, I'll never do that. Nope, that's one thing I will never do.
So the chapters in the book, Liberty, what are some of the chapters? Like they go from your autobiographical, from your days when you started out before Billy Joel till now, right? But what's in between? What's all the little things in between? Can you give us little highlights of some of the chapters? And
well, it's most of the chapters are like, let's say, my family, right? Moving out to Long Island. I was born in Brooklyn, but my dad, like I said before, he was a cop. He wanted us to move out to Long Island.
Right.
Then meeting my destiny, which was seeing the Beatles. And then it goes through all the bands that I play with, the Rogues, the Crystals. The Crystal Circus, the band was called.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do drugs, but we were called the Crystal Circus.
Crystals,
anyway.
Yeah.
The New Rock Workshop. Then I played with the Detroit Wheels, when they had split from Mitch Ryder. Then I played with Mitch Ryder. So when you read the book, in between there's chapters, short little vignettes called My Drums, and how I feel about the drum set itself. Like I compare it to a girlfriend.
Right.
Like, and I can compare the love for a woman to the love of my drums. Like I talk about how, I can have a bad night on the drum set. Like I hate to play in the cold. I don't like it. It feels like I'm hitting cinder blocks.
Right.
And I'll come home and I'll tell my wife, I'll say, it was terrible tonight. The bass player was terrible. He just wasn't into it. And it was just a bad night. And I can just dump all that on her. If I have a fight with her and I go to a gig, before I walk up those stairs to the stage, I have to dump all that stuff down at the bottom.
Yeah.
My drums refuse to have me have that up there too. It's got a total concentration on what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yes. You're right.
Can't be in a bad mood and play, a sensitive song or something.
So most of the songs that you play, what did you play with the Detroit Wheels? Did you play most of their songs that were hits, like
the
Devil Dress On?
The Detroit Wheels was a weird thing because they had split from Mitch, and they had Rusty Day, who eventually became the lead singer for Cactus with Carmine Appice and Tim Bogart from the Fudge. He was the lead singer, and they were getting into the blues. We were doing a lot of Jimmy Reed stuff, so that's the music that they were playing. We played in this bar once, and the guy came up to us. The owner said, "If you don't play those Mitch Ryder songs that are on the jukebox, I'm gonna kill you guys." So of course we did those tunes too. But when I got with Mitch, it was all those songs.
Liberty was always that way with bands. I always felt bad for the bands because there's so many good songs on the album that weren't hits, right. And it, and I know it from the fan appreciation level to the person that outside doesn't really know the song or who is that? What? I didn't ever heard that. So there's a lot of problems there. I've always gotten mad because there's so many great songs that weren't hits.
Right.
And good.
With Billy. We always ended the show, had to end it with Only Good Day Young, Still Rock and Roll to Me. I think the Piano Man was in there at the end, and it's funny because he still does that because that's what they want to hear. And when I play, I have a band, the Lords of 52nd Street, which is myself, Russell Javers, and Richie Canada.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we end with those songs too, because that's what the people want to hear.
Right. Right.
We tried playing with Billy. We tried playing Laura from the Nylon Curtain, and it was like, come on, Piano Man.
See, and that's exactly what I'm saying. See, look what Dave's saying. Hey, Lib, how about the story of the McCartney session again and Blackbird? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. I played with McCartney. I did 2 songs with him.
Oh, wow.
That he released in England. And just this year, he released on a box set. You can get the tune, Some Beautiful Night. It's funny because the tracks that he released in England, Ringo also played Beautiful Night. So the CD comes and it says, Beautiful Night, Paul McCartney, drums, Ringo Starr. Then it lists the rest of the guys. Then it says, Beautiful Night, Paul McCartney, drums, Liberty Devitto. The rest of them is like.
So at least you're credited on it.
So when we were doing it, I was called into the studio in the city. Phil Ramone was producing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get there early because I had to set up and everything like that. And on the way in, I'm thinking like, oh man, it's Paul McCartney. What does he want with me? This is Paul McCartney. He doesn't know who I am. Oh, gee, this is like ridiculous. This is anyway. I get there, I set up my drums, and we're listening to tapes that Phil is playing, and the first one that walks in is Linda. This is when he was married to Linda, and Linda points right at me and says, "I know who you are. We've been watching your videos." Like, are you kidding me? You guys been watching my video? Then he walked in. Let me tell you something. God could have walked in, and that has struck me like it was like Paul McCartney.
Yes.
So I walk up to him. We shake hands. He says, "Hi, nice to meet you." And I say, "Nice to meet you too." And then I kind of back out of the swinging door in the studio and go in the hallway. And I actually had the angel and the devil on each side. The angel was saying like, "Go back in. He's just another musician." And the devil's going, "No, he's not. That's Paul McCartney." Oh, but he's just, he wants to play with you. He must like what you do. No, he's a Beatle, man. He knows. I had to calm myself down. So the session goes on, and we do one song, and then there's a break in between. We have lunch, we have pizza, and we talk about children and stuff like that. It's great. So we go back in the studio, and he gets right on the drums, goes on my drums. And he's playing along, and the rest of the guys come in the studio, and they start playing along with him, and he keeps looking over to me like, "Ain't I cool? This is cool, right? I can do this. See, I can do this. Anybody can do this." So that goes on for about 15 minutes. He gets up off the drum kit, and he starts walking over to me, and an acoustic guitar is sitting right next to me, leaning against the wall. And I pick it up, and I start playing Blackbird. And I look at him, I go, "Oh, yeah?" And I start playing Blackbird, and he stops. He goes, "Oh my God, you can play that!" Just freaked him out.
That is so cool. I mean, McCartney, everybody's a big Beatle fan, right? I know Billy Joel is because he's
huge.
done a lot of stuff. You are, I am.
Huge.
I mean, I've loved the Beatles since the early 60s, but what they don't realize is, and in Liberty, you probably understand this too, but you just said what I was thinking. There's people out there that they're celebrities, and yeah, they're great. We love them, but they don't come like the Beatles to us. There's a special reverence we have for them. There's a special, I don't know, a podium we put them on, but that's the Beatles. That's because they earned that.
Yes. I always say when people say, "What do you think of Ringo?" I have to say about that story that I just told you.
Right.
It's not in here.
It's
not
okay.
I just did the audio book, and I edited it on that.
Oh, cool.
On the audio book. But people ask me, like, what do you think of Ringo? Was Ringo a good drummer? And I met Ringo twice. I actually got to play in with his all-star band once. We did a little help for my friends and stuff like that.
Right.
And I shook Ringo's hand and I said, "Ringo, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now." And he said, well, at least you're not blaming me for it. You know, something like that. But, you know, they say that, you know, Ringo paved the way for us. No, Ringo didn't pave the way. Ringo first got in a tractor, chopped down all the trees, ground up all the roots, cleared the dirt out of the way, put down the stones, started to pave the road. Then he got on the road. You know, we followed. You know, that's what he did. He really, you know, I mean, I don't think half of us would be doing what we're doing now.
I mean, that's incredible. Christopher Claus just says, he says, great book. He says, wonderful audio just out. First song you sing to your granddaughter. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's my friend, Chris. That is my dear friend, Chris, one of the greatest people in the world.
Wow.
And I'm not going to tell you why. He's one of the greatest people in the world to me, but he knows why. Anyway, yes, the first song I will sing to my granddaughter. I have a brand new granddaughter. She was born on April 1st.
God bless you.
I'm going to see her. My daughter, Marielle, lives out in California. I'm going to go out there on May 4th. Nice. And I'll get to hold this little girl. And you know, music is an amazing thing. I'll have to think about what song I'm going to sing her. I know my little one now, I have a 4-year-old, and she loves the Beatles. And, you know, but funny because she just discovered Surfing USA by the Beach Boys. She freaks out when it comes on. She just starts dancing and make believe she's playing guitar and, you know, all this stuff. As a matter of fact, my buddy, Billy Amendola, who was the editor for Modern Drummer magazine, he kept telling my wife, she watches Sesame Street. She listens to the Beatles. She's into the Beatles. Let her watch A Hard Day's Night. My wife was like, no, she's not watching A Hard Day's Night. She's too young. Come on, let her watch A Hard Day's Night. Finally, on a birthday, Billy sends a birthday card that says, this is a coupon that says that you're allowed to watch A Hard Day's Night. So she finally got to watch A Hard Day's Night. She loved it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do you keep in contact with the guys a lot, or Billy Joel himself anymore, or no?
Well, Billy wrote the foreword in my book.
So you always talk to him, or you see him, or what?
No, but it was 15 years. We had a bad falling out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was bad. But like we're back again. I mean, and you know, when you're in a band like Billy Joel or any other kind of band like that,
right?
You're never really told what you've done in the band. You know, you're hired and you're just there. You're supposed to be doing what you're doing. You know, it's like a basketball player when he misses the foul shot. It's like, you're a basketball player. You can't hit that. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, a guy gets up and hits a home run. It's like, you know, or gets on base. It's like, you're a baseball player. You're supposed to get on base. You know, in the music business, you're not told like what you've actually did for the artist. In the book, Billy actually lays it out. What I contributed to his music. And it's like, when I read it, I was crying. I told my wife, I says, I can't believe he wrote this. This is just, you know, what me and the band did for him on those records, you know. And it's just a beautiful thing. So now, yeah, we talk. Matter of fact, I wrote him today to tell him that I was a grandfather.
Oh, that's so cool. Now everybody's saying congratulations to the grandbaby, and grandbabies are priceless. Absolutely great. Yeah. What do you say, Liberty, to the new people coming out they're going to be drummers and maybe people that'll read your book? And do you have any advice for them that to you know, the whole conception has changed, right? There's not a lot of recording studios, not a lot of record companies. You're your own promotion. You're your own thing. You can do it on YouTube and Facebook and social networks. And what advice?
I found out how to be a successful musician. Marry a woman that has a job.
Is that old adage? Because you guys, you know, you travel a long distance in an old car to make a few dollars to go back home to do it again.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I remember we're playing Mexico City once, and it was the end of the tour. It was the last gig, and we're doing scenes from an Italian restaurant. And I just looked at Billy and I said, I can't believe we're going to have to do this again. You know?
But that's
you
the
know,
fun of it, right? That's the fun of it, right?
yes, a couple of days at home and you're like itching, like, I'm going to get out. You know? But I can't wait to start playing again. My band, the Slim Kings, I have a band, the Slim Kings. It's these two younger guys than me. We record our own songs. We write our own stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we're playing in Milford, Connecticut on May 1st. It's an outdoor show. And I'm very excited about that, to get back on the.
Well, send me some of the music. I'll play it on the radio. I mean, listen, I own the radio stations. I can play anything I want.
I'll do it. I will do it.
I definitely play it. They want to know, Liberty, is there a song of Billy's that you never got to play live that you would love to play? And David Brown put up surprises. Awesome. A demo. Love you, Devitto. That's what he says.
Oh, that's Eddie. Eddie's a New Jersey boy. Eddie's my muse.
Eddie, yeah.
Yeah, Eddie. David Brown put up surprises. Yeah, we never played surprises. That was a good song. You know what else is a good song? On the bridge, Code of Silence. That's the only song that was co-written by somebody else. Billy writes everything himself. Cyndi Lauper wrote the song Code of Silence with Billy. She wrote the lyrics.
Oh, wow.
It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. Well, we never played that one live. No. Laura was one. When I was in the band, I don't think we ever played it live. Maybe we tried to play it live, but nobody wanted to hear it. You know, they wanted to hear Uptown Girl. You know?
That's the influence. Like, again, as the hits always perceive what the band can really do. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of progressive rock bands that did the same thing. They tried to play their, long songs, but no, just want to hear hits.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like you pigeonhole them. I don't know.
Anyway. Well, the music business today is like, it's so different than it was when Billy was playing at a piano bar. Clive Davis came down to see him play and was like, "Hey, you're pretty good, kid. Why don't you come in my office? I'll sign you to a record deal." Now it's like you have to write your own songs, make sure they're great, record them like a real record, make an album full of them, go out and play, sell them to your friends that you're playing for. Mm-hmm. And once you reach like 2,500 copies that you sold, then go to a record guy and go, "Look, we sold 2,500 copies in our town," and they'll think, "Well, with our help, if you sold 2,500 copies in your town, with our help, you could probably sell a lot more," But it's I don't know. The business is just like, but it's the passion that keeps you going.
What's a good key to writing a good song? Is it that hook? Is it that chorus? Is it that melody line? Is it I love harmonies. When you talk about harmonies, Beach Boys, Beatles, Billy Joel, the harmonies are always the backing part of any song. I love. That's what I love.
Yeah, but it's all of those things. I mean, Billy had the verse, the lyrics. He sang about what people wanted to hear, "Just the Way You Are." I mean, come on.
It's still a wedding song.
And I think the bridge is very important, to have a bridge to a song that's great. But then again, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a bridge. Louie doesn't have a bridge, and it's a great song. You can't understand a word the guy's saying. It's a great tune. It's a feel. It's what it feels like. Those early Beatle records, there's mistakes on them. They sing the wrong words, but hey, it's the way it felt. That's what I'm saying about the drums. How did it make you feel like that? Listen to it and say, why do I feel so good when I hear that part? As simple as it is. Why? It's where he's placing it, where they're placing it, Yeah.
Now, are you a right-hand drummer or left-hand drummer?
Right. I'm a righty. Yes. Right. Ringo was a lefty.
Right, and that's what I was saying. His fills were always different because of his left hand.
He was a lefty on a right-hand kit. And his roles started with his left hand, where ours start with our right hand. That's why he could go bap-boom, boom, bap-boom, boom, real easy.
Now, did you like playing any electronic drums?
No.
You only wanted to do the raw, regular ones?
Just the acoustic, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I did a couple of things on the Bridge album. This is the Time, has some, it really dates a song, too, when you hear an electronic drum. It's like, oh, that's from the 80s. Like the Beatles aren't dated. There's no electronics in there,
You're right. You're right. You can't. I mean, even they did songs in the '70s, and it still sounds like stuff they could have did in the '60s. And and of course the Beatles. Just get back to that. They had all kinds of genres. They covered the '20s. They covered the '40s. The country, rock, and I think Paul McCartney said something about they heard that the Kinks were doing a real heavy metal concert. Well, they're not heavy metal, but a real rock concert, and they wanted to one up them, so they came up with Helter Skelter.
Right.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right. But you know what? It's funny that you mentioned the different genres that the Beatles played in and wrote in. It's like you can hear I Saw standing there, and you go like, "Oh, these guys are great. These guys are great." But how great are they that they can do a song like Your Mother Should Know, and you go, oh my God, that's so great. But it's nothing like, just all of a sudden they're great musicians then, that even though they're not hitting your music bone, they're still great.
Now that's funny. You talk about, we talk about the Beatles again, but when you listen to a lot of their songs, you can hear the hits and then you can hear the song. Wow, that should have been a hit, but you still like all the songs. There's not a lot of Beatles songs that I don't like. So was that what was going on with the fan base as far as Billy Joel too?
Yeah. There's a lot of songs that I think are great songs that Billy wrote. Until the Night was a great one.
I love that song.
Zanzibar was a great one. Those weren't singles. I mean, people know those tunes, fans of Billy. But like with the Beatles, In My Life was never a single. Everybody knows that song. Everybody knows I've Just Seen a Face. Never a single. Ticket to Ride, and Day Tripper,
right,
and stuff like that.
Right.
But Tomorrow Never Knows.
Great.
Never a single.
And of course, that was from what, Revolver album?
Yeah.
Come on, what a great album. But we could talk music all night, that.
I know. That's the problem with us. It's such a passion that you have. And that's what the young kids have to have. And that's another reason why I wrote my book. It's like I see these shows on TV like American Idol, and it makes it look like they go in and they sing for a couple of people, and then they win that contest, and they win the next contest, and the next thing you know, they're big stars. No, man. The reason why music is in the shape it's in today is because nobody's paying their dues anymore. We played clubs. Well, who knew what a monitor was? A monitor? Are you kidding me? It was a monitor. My first monitor was, I had a microphone, and Doug Stegmeyer had a little Princeton amp, and I used to plug it into a Princeton amp just so I can hear my bass drum.
Right.
Because, your bass drum goes out front. All the other drums you hear from the top.
Right.
That was the first monitor I had.
It's
when
crazy.
you hear the Beatles sing on those live things, they're not hearing themselves. They just know what they're doing.
And know how to do it.
Yeah, they don't know how to do it these days.
That and let's talk about miking the drums, because how important is it to mic the drum right? I mean, you can have over bass, you can have over, all these different drums have all different sounds, and to mic them exactly the way you need them, is that really important?
Well, yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. Like the Slim Kings, the last album we did, we wanted it to have a real nostalgic touch to it. We wanted it to be old school. So we went into the studio called the Diamond Mine, which is in Queens, New York. And they only have vintage equipment. I played on a set of drums. The bass drum was from the 30s. They bought it in a garage sale for like $50, And we put a sheet over the hi-hat, and you played it like that, and it sounds like that. And the mics there was one mic down by my in between the hi-hat and snare, one mic there, one overhead, and then one in the bass drum. That's all I had. These drums sound great.
Yeah.
So it's the engineer and how they mic it, and it's the sound you're going for. When I go into Cove City, which is Richard Cannata's studio, they mic every drum, snare drum from the bottom and the top and everything like that. And that allows them to have each track individual with each drum. Each drum gets its own track.
Right.
Which now they can manipulate the sound more in the studio than what you're actually hearing the drums sound like.
Right.
Because some, like Phil Collins, when you hear that Air in the Night, that song, and you hear that ba 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 ba. That's a lot of effects.
Phil. I mean, that's a recognizable Phil by every drummer all over the world.
Oh, that changed drumming. It was like everybody wanted that sound.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So is there any bands that, I mean, you're playing with some bands now, like the Slim Guys. Is there any band that you ever wanted to play with that you didn't get a chance to play with? Say like group like Foreigner, or because I know Billy Joel was close with, I think it was Lou Gramm or Mick Jones, one of them.
Mick Jones produced Stormfront.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I knew he was going to do something with it, but I wasn't sure.
And then I got to play on Mick's record because, So, no, I would have liked to have played with Hall & Oates. I really like this stuff, I really like now is the Foo Fighters. I like.
Yeah, good band.
I saw them at it's not called Shea Stadium anymore, but where the Mets play. And the thing that I loved about them the most was they play like, I remember like when we first started to build a crowd and stuff like that. You play, you leave it all on the stage. You don't care if you're gonna die when you walk down the bottom of the steps. You're gonna drop dead, but you know that you played great that night.
Right.
That's what they impressed me with. Like they're not holding back. They're going for it. I love that when a band does that.
But that's what every night should be like, right? I mean, you want to impress the audience. You want your fan support. You want the people to listen to you and watch you. People can see that in your eyes and your positions of what you're doing and playing. No matter what instrument it is, you want to give it your 100%.
It's funny because a lot of people, they make this comparison between me and Billy's drummer now, Chuck Berge, who's a wonderful person and he's a great drummer. But you can't compare the two. First of all,
true.
I came up with the stuff. He's copying what I do. He's really, I know he's more of a metal kind of drummer. So he's a little bit out of his element, And they have him behind plexiglass. I was never behind plexiglass. I could blast away and make excitement, and people could see me. Lights reflect off plexiglass. You can't see the drummer anymore.
Right.
It sounds like the record, but you'd rather it not sound like the record when you see a band. You want it to sound better than the record. You want it to blow you away.
Right. So you're going for that different sound. Yeah, but you again, like you said, you really can't compare. It's like Tristan Bowden compared to Danny Serafin. Gary Sanford, like you said, 40 years. Tristan Bowden, 30 years. Both great drummers in their own right, but each have a unique style, unique way, even though they're playing the same type of thing, playing it a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's personalizing your music.
Yeah. Well, look at Stan Lynch and Steve Ferrone. I mean, there's two different kinds of drummers, totally different.
Absolutely.
And I went to see Tom Petty on that last tour, unfortunately, that he did. But I thought Steve did a great job. I mean, he did his interpretation of what Stan did. And he wasn't like a rock drummer like Stan was, but he was what he played, it worked. He put Steve Ferrone in it, which is great. I find that the hardest drummer to copy when you're doing their songs, and it's funny, but is Charlie Watts.
Oh, a great drummer for the Rolling Stones, of course,
because he is such a part of that music that you can't put any of yourself in there. You have to play exactly what he does.
That's right. That's right.
And the way he plays it, I mean, it's sloppy, but yet it's tight, but yet it's simple. It's so simple that you want to do something else, but you can't.
Sometimes songs call for simple. Sometimes they call for complication.
Yeah.
If you can do both, you're a great drummer because you can do anything.
It's funny. You're talking about like everybody having to play the hits. When Neil Peart passed away. Everybody that did a tribute on Facebook to Neil Peart, they all played Tom Sawyer. It was like, if Rush didn't play Tom Sawyer in a concert, everybody would be disappointed.
Yeah, that you're right.
You
You're
know,
100% right.
so everybody has that kind of thing. You know, imagine seeing the Police and they didn't play Roxanne.
Yeah, and that was their
Come on.
first big hit.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, we pigeonhole musicians to that one song that everybody knows. And I was just talking to my friend Phil Hatton a while ago. He was friends with George Harrison and Jeff Lynne from ELO and all these, the Traveling Wilburys.
Right.
And he said if they didn't play a Traveling Wilbury song live,
Yeah.
nobody would go see them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but they had all these songs in the 60s and 70s. How could you not? He said, they want to hear the Wilburys.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I totally agree with you. So give me a little excerpt from the book. Something else that you can give me a little piece of something so people can want to go buy the book, and then tell us where we can buy the book at.
Well, I go through every album with Billy that I play on, and I have my memories of doing the songs.
Oh, wow.
And Billy was pretty shocked at about how much I remembered. I mean, in the forward, he writes about that. I write about things that he has unfortunately forgotten and wished that he didn't forget.
Oh, wow.
You
got a great memory.
Well, yeah, it was, he writes, reading this book has brought a flood of warm memories that I had long since forgotten, and which I now regret having allowed to lapse into the shrouded history along with other time-worn milestones of my past. So they're in there. So yeah.
Just incredible. And so where can we buy the book at?
Hudson Music, hudsonmusic.com or Amazon.
Oh, it's on Amazon? Okay.
Yes, and the audio book, if you're driving around and you want to listen to it like that, it's got Billy actually does the forward, speaks the forward.
Okay.
I do the reading myself, and at the end, there's 2 chapters on one's on the music business, and one is a clinic that I do. It just talks my clinic, and my daughter Tori, who is a star on the show called Chicago Med.
Oh, I didn't know that. Congratulations to her.
Yeah, she does those 2 chapters for me.
Oh, wonderful. And you've got new music coming out. I mean, you're not going anywhere soon.
I'm not. How can I go anywhere? I got a 4-year-old and a new granddaughter.
No, but I mean, you're still making music. You're still working with other people and you're still bringing it out. I love that.
I love it. The music business has that little carrot that's always dangling in front of you. Like, if we do this could happen. Yeah. My father used to always say, if is a stiff, my dear boy, get a job. No, Dad, you don't understand.
So make sure you send me that music. I'll email you. Send me your music. We'll start playing it. And before you go, Liberty, can you do a sweeper for me for the station?
Yeah, sure. What do you want me to say?
Just say you're Liberty Devitto and you're on the Jimmy Deal show and you're listening to Hamilton Radio. If you can do separate or you can do together, that's fine.
Right now?
Mm-hmm. Whenever you're ready.
With all these people listening?
Sure. Why not? You're also live on Roku, too.
Hey, this is Liberty DeVito. You're listening to the Jimmy Deal Show on Hamilton Radio.
Awesome. What a pleasure it was to talk to you. I think a lot of people really, really, expected what they got, which was the real deal. You. Not the real deal, Jimmy, but you.
I'm the real deal, and I'll tell you why. It's the rascals' fault, the young rascals. Because when I met them when I was 16 years old, they were the real deal to me.
Oh, wonderful. That is such a great way to do things. I mean, do you know Felix and everybody? Or
yeah,
you know
them all. Yeah.
Wonderful. They're just awesome. They're still awesome. They'll always be awesome.
Great.
So thank you, Liberty. Thank you for being here. Again, I'm sorry for Jimmy couldn't be here, but we had a great show. I hope you enjoyed it. We didn't talk a lot of bad stuff, right? We had a lot of good, fun show, and we just reminisced, basically.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. And much luck in the future with your granddaughter and your new endeavors.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, my friend.
God bless.
God bless.